Ma'am, I need to see some identification.
Can you tell me why?
This area is for guests only.
I'm not bothering anyone. I'm just standing here.
Okay, I don't have time for this. ID, now.
I don't think you understand what's
This is a
happening.
luxury hotel. You can't just wander around like you own
Please call.
Officer Daniels had no idea what he just walked into. In the next 8 minutes, his career would fall apart. His pension would be questioned. A viral video would make him the face of racial profiling nationwide. The woman he was threatening to arrest, she owned the entire luxury hotel chain, all 47 properties across North America. Victoria Hayes wasn't just the owner. She was a Harvard MBA graduate. She built her hotel empire from one single property in Charleston to a $680 million business. She was standing in her own lobby that morning. She was checking on renovations she had personally approved. And the 4K security cameras overhead, they were capturing every word. Before I continue, let me ask you something. Have you ever been treated like you don't belong somewhere? Drop your answer in the comments. But Officer Daniels had no idea who he was threatening to arrest. Victoria Hayes was 42 years old. She was the CEO and founder of Hayes Luxury Hotels. She graduated from Harvard Business School in 2008. She started with a single property she inherited in Charleston in 2009. Over 15 years, she grew that one hotel into 47 properties across 12 states. Her company was worth $680 million. Forbes featured her in their Self-Made Women list in 2021. 8 of her hotels earned AAA 5 diamond ratings. That's the highest honor in the hotel industry. But here's what Officer Daniels didn't know. Victoria used to be a civil rights attorney. She worked as a lawyer from 2008 to 2009. She sits on the NAACP Legal Defense Fund Board. She personally wrote anti-discrimination training for all 4,200 of her employees. She even consulted with the FBI on hotel safety and security. Victoria was known for doing surprise inspections of her properties. She would fly in unannounced. She wanted to see how her staff really performed. She didn't dress like a typical CEO. She wore business casual clothes. Most people had no idea she was the owner. On this Tuesday morning, in March 2024, Victoria was just trying to check the marble restoration in her own lobby. Officer Marcus Daniels had a reputation in the downtown district. Marcus Daniels was 38 years old. He was a 12-year veteran of the Miami-Dade Police Department. He worked an off-duty security contract with the hotel. It was a side job. He made $45 an hour for 20 hours a week. But here's the problem. Daniels had 7 formal complaints in 4 years. Every single one involved a person of color. Not one complaint resulted in any discipline. In 2020, he questioned a black businessman in the hotel parking garage. He demanded proof the man owned the Tesla he was driving. The guest filed a complaint. Nothing happened to Daniels. In 2022, he detained a Latina woman in the pool area. He accused her of sneaking in. She was a Diamond Elite member. The hotel apologized. Daniels defended his actions. In 2023, at this same hotel, he demanded ID from an Asian couple in the elevator. He claimed they looked lost. They were checking into the penthouse suite. Corporate received the complaint. Daniels got sent to retraining. The front desk staff called him Officer Suspicious. Multiple staff members reported that he profiled non-white guests. 2 housekeepers said he made them uncomfortable, but management kept renewing his security contract anyway. Type accountability in the comments if you think that's wrong. On March 12, 2024, Daniels would finally profile the wrong person. It was Tuesday, March 12, 2024. The time was 9:47 in the morning. The location was the Hayes Regency Miami. This was the flagship property. It sat on Brickell Avenue in downtown Miami. The hotel was 28 stories tall. The lobby had a $2 million marble restoration in progress. Crystal chandeliers hung from 40-foot ceilings. Art Deco design filled the space. It was a busy spring morning. Snowbirds were checking out. Construction sounds came from the marble work. Classical music played softly. Fresh flowers filled the air with perfume. About 30 people were in the lobby. Marina led the front desk with 2 other workers. James worked the concierge desk. He had been there 15 years. 6 housekeeping staff passed through. About 20 guests were having coffee or reading newspapers. A marble restoration crew of 4 workers was busy. Victoria entered through the main entrance at 9:43 a.m. She wore dark jeans, a cream silk blouse, and a navy blazer. She carried an iPad and a leather folder. She wore no jewelry except a simple watch. Her hair was pulled back in a professional ponytail. She walked straight to the restoration area. She started taking photos and notes. The front desk staff saw her immediately. They smiled but didn't approach. Victoria preferred not to be announced during her inspections. If stories like this matter to you, hit that subscribe button. Officer Daniels came out of the security office at 9:45 a.m. He saw Victoria talking to the contractor about marble samples. He watched her for 2 minutes, then he walked over with his hand on his belt. "Excuse me, miss, can I help you with something?" "No, thank you, I'm just reviewing the work." "Are you a guest here?" "I'm inspecting the renovation." That didn't answer my question. That's when Officer Daniels made his first critical mistake. "I need to see your room key or ID." "I don't have a room key, I don't need one." "Then you're not a guest. This area is for guests only." "I'm not a guest, but I do have permission to be here." "Permission from who?" "From ownership." Daniels laughed. "Really, you got permission from corporate?" "Something like that." "Look, I don't have time for games. Show me ID or leave." Victoria stayed calm. "I'm not playing games, I'm conducting business." "What business could you possibly have here?" "That's between me and management." Daniels raised his voice. "You know what? I think you're trespassing. I think you walked in off the street." "I didn't walk in off the street. I've been here since 9:30. "Doing what? Taking pictures? That's suspicious behavior." "I'm documenting the renovation progress." "Ma'am, I'm going to ask you one more time. And I'm going to tell you one more time, I have every right to be here." "That's it, I'm calling MDPD. You're getting trespassed." "If that's what you feel you need to do." The concierge, James, stepped forward. "Officer, maybe I should." Daniels cut him off. "Step back, James, I got this." An older white man spoke up. "Officer, she's not bothering anyone." A young black woman started filming on her phone. "This is ridiculous." The marble contractor shook his head. "Man, she's been talking to me about the work. She knows what she's talking about." Daniels moved closer to Victoria. He invaded her personal space. Victoria held her ground. She didn't step back. His volume went up. Other guests stopped to watch. His hand moved near his handcuffs. Victoria's face stayed calm, almost eerily composed. "Wait until you hear what happened next." The general manager, Robert Chen, sprinted from his office. It was 9:51 a.m. The confrontation had lasted 6 minutes. He arrived out of breath. His face was pale. "Officer Daniels, stop." Chen was panicking. "Ms. Hayes, I am so sorry." Daniels looked confused. "Who is this?" "This is Victoria Hayes. She owns this hotel." "What?" Victoria spoke calmly. "I own this hotel. I own this chain, all 47 properties." Daniels stammered. You can't, you're." "I'm what, Officer Daniels?" A long, painful silence filled the lobby. Marina from the front desk spoke up. "Sir, we all know Ms. Hayes. She does surprise inspections every 3 months. She's been the owner since 2009. James, the concierge, had tears in his eyes. "Officer, I've worked for Ms. Hayes for 15 years. She put my daughter through college. She's the most decent person I know, and you just tried to arrest her in her own hotel." The guest with the phone held it up. "I got the whole thing on video, started recording when I heard him threaten her. This is going viral." The marble contractor added, "Lady knew more about Italian Carrara marble than I do. I thought she was the architect." The evidence was piling up. 12 security cameras captured everything from different angles. The guest's iPhone video ran 4 minutes and 37 seconds. 2 other phones were recording too. Marina had texted Chen with a timestamp. Daniels forgot his own body camera was on. Hotel access logs showed Victoria's master keycard entry at 9:43 a.m. Chen immediately called corporate security. He called the MDPD supervisor. That was Daniels' real boss. Corporate legal joined by phone within 8 minutes. The HR director was driving from the Coral Gables office. Daniels' face went white. Ms. Hayes, I didn't know. Didn't know what? That I was the owner, or that you couldn't just demand ID from any black woman you see. That's not what I was. You weren't what? Racially profiling, because I'd love to hear your explanation. I was just doing my job, security protocol. Security protocol that only applies to people who look like me. Daniels tried to respond. He opened his mouth. No words came out. He tried to walk away. Chen blocked him. You need to stay until MDPD arrives. Type justice if you think Victoria handled this perfectly. MDPD Sergeant Lisa Morrison arrived at 10:04 a.m. That was 13 minutes after the confrontation started. Sergeant Morrison was an 18-year veteran. She worked with internal affairs. Corporate legal counsel Sharon Rodriguez joined by conference call. Hotel HR Director David Park arrived at 10:12 a.m. Morrison spent 15 minutes reviewing all the security footage. She interviewed 7 witnesses, both guests and staff. She checked Daniels' incident report history. She found the pattern. She reviewed his contract with the hotel. She listened to Chen's story. She spoke privately with Victoria. Victoria explained her legal background. Now here's where Daniels' story completely fell apart. He claimed she was acting suspiciously. The footage showed Victoria calmly looking at renovation work. She took professional photos. She spoke with the contractor using technical knowledge. Nothing about her behavior was suspicious, only her skin color. He claimed she refused to identify herself. The footage showed Victoria calmly explaining she had permission. She wasn't legally required to show ID. Daniels never explained why he needed it. He just said policy. That policy didn't exist. He claimed he didn't know who she was. Multiple witnesses said he never asked who she was. He just assumed. Marina tried to step in. He waved her off. He worked hotel security for 3 years. He never bothered learning what the owner looked like. Sergeant Morrison made her decision. Officer Daniels, effective immediately, you're under internal affairs investigation. The investigation is for potential racial profiling and abuse of authority. You're suspended pending review. Sharon Rodriguez spoke from the conference call. She was the hotel's legal counsel. Mr. Daniels, your security contract with Hayes Luxury Hotels is ended immediately. This is termination for cause. You're banned from all 47 properties forever. You will not be paid for today's shift. Victoria spoke next. I'm filing a formal complaint with MDPD. I'm also referring this to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. They'll review it for civil rights violations. Daniels went through 3 stages fast. First came denial. This is ridiculous. I was protecting the property. Then came anger. You're going to destroy my career over a misunderstanding. Finally came desperation. Ms. Hayes, please, I have a family, I made a mistake. Victoria's voice stayed steady. You've made 7 documented mistakes, 7 people of color you harassed. This isn't a mistake, it's a pattern, and it ends today. The immediate aftermath was emotional. Victoria stayed composed, but she was visibly shaken. Chen kept apologizing. Victoria told him, "This isn't your fault, Robert." Staff members surrounded Victoria with support. Several were crying. Guests actually applauded when Daniels was walked out. The marble work stopped. The crew gave Victoria space. Victoria asked for the security footage to be saved. But the consequences were just beginning. The guest with the iPhone had already uploaded the video to Twitter. By 10:30 a.m., just 43 minutes after the confrontation started, the video had 50,000 views. If you think Officer Daniels deserved what happened, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. By 10:30 a.m., the video was on Twitter. The caption said, "Black woman harassed in hotel lobby, plot twist, SHE owns IT." It had 50,000 views already. By 11:30 a.m., it spread to TikTok, Instagram Reels, and Facebook. The combined views hit 400,000. By noon, it was trending #1 on Twitter in Miami. It was #3 nationally. The hashtags were everywhere: Victoria Hayes, Hotel While Black, Retail Justice. By 2:00 p.m., local Miami news was running the story. WSVN and WPLG covered it. The headline was, "Hotel owner racially profiled at her own property." By 6:00 p.m., national coverage started. CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News all ran segments. The video hit 8.3 million views across all platforms. By midnight, it reached 23 million views. 14 countries were covering the story. The BBC, CBC, and Al Jazeera picked it up. The final numbers were shocking. Twitter had 12 million views, 340,000 retweets, 890,000 likes. TikTok reached 7.2 million views, 1.1 million likes, 45,000 shares. Instagram got 2.8 million views and 520,000 likes. YouTube news clips combined for over 1 million views. Reddit had multiple threads with over 50,000 upvotes each. The public response was powerful. One user wrote, "This is exactly why we need body cameras and civilian oversight. Officer Daniels saw a black woman and assumed she didn't belong. Disgusting." Another said, "Victoria Hayes is a Harvard MBA, self-made millionaire and philanthropist, and none of that should have mattered. She's a human being in her own building." A hotel worker commented, "I've worked hotels 20 years. Every owner does surprise visits. Daniels didn't recognize her because he never bothered to learn. That's the problem." A civil rights group added, 7 complaints, 7, and he was still working. The system protects officers who racially profile until a video goes viral. That has to change. Local Miami stations covered it non-stop. The Miami Herald put it on the front page. CNN ran a full segment. MSNBC had a discussion panel. NPR covered it on Morning Edition. The New York Times wrote an article. Hayes Luxury Hotels released a statement at 6:00 p.m. "We are shocked by Officer Daniels' conduct. His contract is ended. We are reviewing all security across our 47 properties. This will never happen again. Ms. Hayes has our full support." MDPD released a statement at 7:30 p.m. "We take allegations of racial profiling seriously. Why Officer Daniels is suspended, pending a full internal affairs investigation." Daniels tried to control the damage. He posted a Facebook apology. He deleted it after 2 hours. It said, "I'm sorry for any misunderstanding." He tried to do interviews with local news. His lawyer told him no. His wife posted a defense on Nextdoor. It backfired. Neighbors shared stories about his previous behavior. Comment below if you think social media helped get justice in this case. 3 days later, Officer Daniels hired a defense attorney. He released a statement. He claimed he was the real victim of cancel culture. The internet was not sympathetic. Victoria Hayes filed a federal lawsuit on March 26, 2024. That was 14 days after the incident. She filed in the U.S. District Court, Southern District of Florida. The claims were serious: racial discrimination, violation of the 14th Amendment, equal protection, intentional infliction of emotional distress, defamation because Daniels called her a trespasser. The defendants were Officer Marcus Daniels personally and the Miami-Dade Police Department. During discovery, they found everything. They looked at Daniels' complete complaint history, all 11 years. They found 18 total incidents. 7 were formal complaints. 11 were informal complaints that were never documented. The pattern was clear. 94% involved people of color. That's 17 out of 18 incidents. 0 involved white people. They found body cam footage from 4 previous incidents. They found text messages between Daniels and other officers. The messages had racially insensitive jokes. Performance reviews mentioned his overzealous enforcement in certain demographics. The case settled 8 months later, in November 2024. The financial penalties were huge. Daniels personally had to pay $175,000 in damages. He paid another $50,000 in attorney fees. That's $225,000 total from Daniels. MDPD paid $500,000 to avoid going to trial. They also agreed to reform their policies. Daniels' homeowners insurance refused to cover it. They said it was an intentional act. Daniels filed for bankruptcy in February 2025. The social consequences were severe: lifetime ban from all 47 Hayes luxury properties, plus a 200-foot exclusion zone, banned from 14 other hotel chains that copied Hayes' policy. He can't work private security in Florida anymore. The state licensing board took action. The professional damage was total. MDPD fired him in June 2024 after the investigation finished. He lost his 12-year pension because he was fired for cause. He's blacklisted from law enforcement. His post-certification was suspended. He can't get a security guard license. Court documents show he's working delivery gig jobs now. The legal consequences kept coming. The state filed criminal charges, misdemeanor false imprisonment. He took a plea deal, 6 months probation, 100 hours of community service, mandatory bias training. A restraining order keeps him 500 feet from Victoria Hayes for 5 years. He had to complete 50 hours of racial bias counseling. The court ordered Daniels to apologize at the settlement hearing in November 2024. He read from a paper, "I apologize to Ms. Hayes for my actions on March 12, 2024. I allowed implicit bias to cloud my judgment. I have begun the work of understanding how my behavior caused harm." But then he posted on social media. He suggested he was forced to apologize. The public stayed angry. Victoria made a statement on the courthouse steps in November 2024. "This was never about the money. This was about accountability. Officer Daniels had 18 chances to change, 18 people he harmed. The system protected him until a video went viral. That's the real problem. I'm giving my entire settlement to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Others without my resources can fight back too." But the story didn't end with money. Victoria Hayes turned her pain into purpose. Victoria held a press conference in December 2024. She stood in the Hayes Regency Miami lobby, the same location where it happened. The marble restoration was complete now. Beautiful Italian Carrara marble covered the floor. Over 40 media outlets showed up. Her staff stood behind her in support. "For weeks after, I couldn't walk into my own hotels without anxiety. I built these properties from nothing. And in 8 minutes, a man with a badge made me feel like I didn't belong in my own home." She continued, "I'm fortunate. I have resources, legal knowledge, power, but I think about the housekeepers, the front desk clerks, the everyday people who face this without cameras, without lawyers, without leverage. They carry this weight every single day." Her legal experience showed through. "My legal background taught me something crucial. The system doesn't protect people. Documentation does. If that guest hadn't filmed, if our cameras hadn't captured every angle, this would have been my word against an officer's. And we all know who the system believes." She spoke to Woe. Occurs directly. If you're watching this and you've been harassed, demeaned, or discriminated against at work, you have rights. You deserve dignity. You don't have to accept abuse as part of the job. Document everything. Find witnesses, report it, and know that I'm fighting for you. Then she addressed customers. "Respect is not optional, it's the baseline. If you can't treat service workers with basic human decency, you don't deserve their service. And more importantly, there are consequences now. The world is watching." She laid out what she wanted. "I want 3 things. First, mandatory anti-bias training for all security workers, public and private. Second, civilian oversight boards with real power to discipline officers. Third, a cultural shift. We need to stop giving people the benefit of the doubt when the pattern is clear. She thanked everyone who helped. To the guests who spoke up, to my staff who supported me, to Robert Chen who ran to my defense, thank you. To James, who's been with me 15 years and called out injustice even when it was uncomfortable, you're why I do this work. Her closing was powerful. I didn't choose to become the face of this movement. Officer Daniels chose for me when he assumed I didn't belong, but I'm choosing what comes next, and what comes next is change. This case exposed something bigger than one officer's bias. The statistics tell the story. 75% of retail workers face customer abuse. Workers of color are 2.3 times more likely to face discrimination than white workers. Only 18% of service worker harassment gets reported. People fear losing their jobs. Security and police are 3 times more likely to question black customers than white customers. Victoria had advantages most victims don't have. She had money, legal knowledge, video documentation, media attention, a platform to demand change. Most people facing this have none of those things. What changed? Hayes Luxury Hotels now requires 40 hours of anti-bias training for all security workers. 23 major hotel chains followed her lead. Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt all issued new security rules. So let me ask you, do we really need to wait for someone to own a $680 million hotel chain before we believe they deserve basic respect? Do we really think Officer Daniels would have faced consequences if that video hadn't gone viral? If Victoria hadn't had the resources to fight back? Do we really believe the other 17 people he harassed deserved what happened to them just because they couldn't afford a federal lawsuit? Because if we don't fix the systems that protected Officer Daniels for 11 years, if we don't address the bias that made him see a black woman and assume she was trespassing, then we're just waiting for the next Daniels, the next Victoria, the next viral video that forces us to care for 48 hours before we forget again. Comment below if you believe security workers should face the same consequences as police officers when they racially profile. If you think stories like this matter, hit that subscribe button. We're going to keep exposing these stories. We're going to keep demanding better. We're going to keep fighting for accountability, for dignity, for a world where your skin color doesn't determine whether you're seen as a threat or a human being. This isn't just about Officer Daniels or Victoria Hayes. It's about all of us. See you in the next one.